It's Coach, great to have you on. How different is it today than a year ago when you were just landing in Baton Rouge?
I found my office, Paul. That's been comforting. No, it certainly, as you know, if you have a full year to really build relationships with the players and the families, and certainly have a staff now that you spent some time with, there's great continuity, and everybody's pulling in the same direction, and makes this a lot smoother.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it, and you've done it at the highest level for a very long and successful period. But this year, it seemed like coming off of a big year, and I know sometimes recruiting is always a little more in the future than a media, but. What type of residuals did you sense overall from your surprising year to all of us?
Well, I think what it does more than anything, Paul, is that when you talk about, you know, playing for championships, it can fall on deaf ears if you're not close. Certainly, we didn't win the SEC championship, but we can see that we've got a football team that can compete at the highest level. We've got some work to do. There's no question. We have some holes that have to be addressed through player development and certainly through recruiting. But I think when you're out there recruiting and they see your football team play and see how real close you are, that's certainly going to help you in the recruiting process.
We meaning in the media, talk about this NIL and the portal and all these things that you have to contend with on a daily basis. But from year to year, and you've done this now throughout the life of the NIL, which is a year and a half old. The portal is out there now. How different was this year than even a year ago in dealing with all of those?
Yeah, so I think everybody's got a good sense of how to utilize free agency or the portal as it relates to their program. You're either going to be developing it with freshmen and then using the portal to kind of fill in some of the needs you have in the program, or you're all in for the best players out there. And so we clearly are going to build our program through freshmen. And then if we still have some weaknesses within our program, we're going to fill it in the portal. So it's not going to be across the board, every single position. You're not looking for a quarterback every year. You're not looking for, a wide receiver or a particular lineman, but you have obviously needs that you're going to address through the portal. And I think that's what's happened after year one, especially for us here. And that's how we've navigated it. It's still a bit of a moving target because now you have NIL in there and you have people calling you saying, hey, I can place this guy, but it's going to cost X. Those are the issues and the downside of having unfettered free agency. But, that's the world we live in. And so we've got to navigate through it.
I know you have to live with it, but we both have seen a lot through our lives. It's still almost, maybe not as much for you, but it's still almost unbelievable talking about some of this stuff, the way players are coming and going. How do you view it? I realize you're the football coach at LSU, but as somebody who's been in the game for so long, it still has to be a tad bit bewildering, does it not?
It certainly is. And I think for me, more than anything else, that's why we've tried to minimize the use of how we go about in utilizing the portal. Now, look, there is the ability to reset your roster, so there is an advantage there. I've tried to look at what are the advantages. Look, in 1 year, Paul, we're going to turn over 75% of our roster. And having the transfer portal has allowed us to do that. In years past, you were holding on to players because there was no place for them to really go through the transfer rule. It was difficult for them to want to transfer. So there are some advantages. I think you use them to your advantage, but you've got to be careful because certainly if you're in the transfer portal, there are some downsides to it, and some of them are inducements, and they can even be such that you can get into the tampering situation. So minimize, have a plan, navigate it the best you can, and hopefully down the road we can continue to close these windows so they're tighter. And look, I don't know that legislation's coming down the road anytime soon here, so have a good plan moving forward.
Coach, it doesn't seem like it is. And every day there's another story out there. One coach the other day talked about a particular player, not in this league, but you don't only hear things, you know things because it's happening to you or someone else. Is there really much coaches can do at your level? You're at the highest level. You're one of the most prominent head coaches in the country. When you hear something that is just that is just gobsmacking, I mean, what can you do about it?
Well, it's discussed in our SEC meetings, and I think Commissioner Sankey believes that we should be the lead when it comes to addressing anything that is not good for our game, and we know that the impact here is ultimately not the best for our game, and so that's why last year we looked to close these windows in the transfer portal, which I think helps. But I think more steps need to be taken, and I think we'll have those discussions as a group of coaches. And I think we've got some great ideas, and I know Commissioner Sankey is constantly even texting us to ask for input as to how we can improve this.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.